Hey folks, welcome back to WarThunder. So, that intro shot. I uploaded a video the other day saying probably my best shot ever, and then literally within like a day of posting that video, I feel like I might have just beat it. But anyway, so as you can see, we're playing Kursk today. In Serm and the Abrams, the IP. I don't have the rangefinder or anything, so gonna struggle. Here I'm actually just checking the MG gun sight to see how far that goes out to see if maybe we can use that to range some shots first if I'm not sure, but it only goes to like 1400 meters, so that's a no-go. Pretty rare that the Allies or NATO spawn at this side on Kursk in Serm. It's usually the other way around, and because words, I don't really have a battle plan. Let's just handle this guy. Like I said, I've got no rangefinder. I'm not a fan of this sight under the gun barrel thing. I think a lot of people might prefer it because there's less parallax to deal with, but the way that I handle parallax, it actually makes it harder for me to aim at long range because I actually have to like learn the drop more, whereas with my method you can pretty much point and click out to a set range. But anyway, moving on. So I don't really have a plan for this. So I literally decided to drive in a straight line from my spawn, which was the left, like southern spawn on the map, to their most southern spawn on the map. Obviously on the way I had line of sight on our cap, which I think is A. My viewing window for the editing is pretty small, but so that was how I was able to pick off that guy. I actually really didn't expect anyone to just rush directly for our cap, because when, like I say, the match is usually the other way around, and B is much more likely to be attacked because there's actually cover within the cap circle. There's like an entire little town, so it's much easier to capture B than it is A, because A is just massively out in the open. So what I normally do when the match is switched is go and camp out on the river just to the east side of B, right on the edge of the map, right on the eastern edge of the map, and then I'll just wait for anyone to drive down the hill from what is now my spawn, and just shoot them all on their way down when they're completely in the open. So it's very difficult for them to actually get to the cap, but once you're in it, it's a doddle to take it. All that said, obviously now I'm with the map being switched around the way that it is, I now have to attack that position, and I'm expecting them to defend it from where I normally go. So that was the same guy. I feel quite bad, but I'm basically in their spawn now, and my strategy is to go where I normally go, but as an attacker instead of a defender, which is a little bit twisted and backwards, but if I can get there, I'll be behind their lines. They won't be expecting me to be there at all, and if we do manage to push into B to start capping it, I'll be in a perfect position to defend it from their side of the map. So I have to push through the spawn to do this, which is, well, let's be honest, it's a lot of a dick move. But at the same time you could argue that it's kind of their fault for not like guarding it better. I was so lucky with that guy. I'm really not that familiar with the gun sight on this thing, like I was saying before, and I could have very easily just completely whiffed that and shot high and hit his place. So I was overcompensating and just crossing everything that it was gonna go where I wanted it to. Got super lucky. Checked the scoreboard just to see if that was his second death. Obviously I'm in their spawn and he's just here, so I'm guessing he's already died once, and that was his second life. Thankfully it was, which means I don't have to worry about him respawning. Here's that guy that we saw before. One and done. On to 4 kills already. So that river down there, that's where I'm going to try and push to. When we get down there, we'll have a very wide, clear view of the entire approach to be. So if our team managed to get into it, because it's so full of cover, there's lots of trees and bushes and shit in there as well, so it's not just like buildings. It's hard to like even pick out silhouettes around the edges of stuff because it's so full of shrubbery and things like that. So you generally have to push in quite close to find people in it. So if anyone spawns in and starts pushing directly to it, I will have a perfect line of sight. The team are actually pinging me because they're they must not think that anyone on their team would actually have got this far. The enemy have actually started to cap A again, which is very bizarre. I don't know, it might just be like a Russian thing, because I don't know if other people have noticed this, but when you're playing against actual Russian players, they have like the most ridiculously aggressive strategies ever. They'll literally just balls to the wall, rush the objective. I've had games in this game before. Oh, hang on. Friendly calling out for assistance. No, I don't have the rangefinder. I know I keep saying this, but for me it's such a crutch that I can barely function without it. But on the upside, playing these maps a lot and using the rangefinder means that I know these ranges to within maybe 100, 200 meters, and I can wing them and guess pretty accurately. I was actually aiming for his engine deck to try and shoot through the entire tank from back to front, but I'll take a turret shot. Smaller target. I mean, it was mostly fluke that I was just hitting high, but he's dead, so it works. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, Russian players are they're just lunatics. They just rush out. I've had matches end within minutes because the entire team en masse just rush the objective and all sit on it, whereas the other team, my team, just spread out and try and cover all bases and defend the cap and push the enemies simultaneously, dividing the forces up. It just sort of naturally happens. But for Russians, they like rush in a massive group. And unless your team does the exact same to the same point, it's just never an even battle. They just wipe the floor with you every time. But I don't think that their team in this match is very cohesive.
Excellent.
Some team killing going on there. I'm not sure how you can mistake a Leopard 2 for a Russian tank, but totally winging it with the range again. Some very fucky shit goes off with the angles in this one. Like, I don't know how that bounced. And I went for a side shot there, and I just took a round. And that was a very fast reload for that second round, which means that there's two of them over there. He only damaged my commander's optics. I'm going to stay below this berm and just try and spot with the binos. One of the other things that I really hate about the gunsight on the IP, because it's lower than the gun, to be able to actually aim, you have to expose the entire upper portion of your turret, which on the Abrams is actually kind of a huge weak spot, because the top shell for the T64B and the T80 can just go straight through it. And now that the blowout panel blast doors have been adjusted so that penetrating them and hitting the ammo now kills the tank, any turret face penetration that makes it through the whole turret is basically a one-shot kill. So there I was concerned that the second one of the two that was shooting at me was actually rushing me pretty hard, which is, I was going, the reason I was moving was to intercept him without being in the line of sight of the other guy, but thankfully, I think it was an MBT-70, dealt with him with an ATGM. And this guy just decides to, I don't know why, he was in pretty good cover, and the turret armor on the T64A is pretty good. He would have been alright, but he decided to just push out in the open for some reason. Very dumb tactic, but yeah, we're on 7 kills. I'm honestly just baffled that I actually made it to this position at all, especially going in a straight line from spawn to spawn like I did. I basically never expected it to actually work, and because I don't like playing the map this way around, because I'm not used to it, my rationale was that if it all goes to shit and I die, the game's over and done with quicker, so I can just leave it and play a different map that's set up better and I actually know what I'm doing. But if it goes well, it'll go really well. And well, as you can see, it's gone pretty well. I thought that guy was actually facing like side on to me, because I couldn't see his hull at all, and I'm not sure if I was actually shooting through the very tip of the hill there, or if it was just arcing over it. It's hard to really tell. I guess that because the gun's shooting from above where I'm looking, it might have had a bit of extra lob that I couldn't really make out, but just keep doing double takes on little bushes and shit, and I happened to spot that guy's muzzle flash. That went high because I didn't see a splash of dirt, so aim a bit lower, and again I just seemed to be able to chuck it right over the very edge of that hill. And there we have it, 9 kills, extremely close to the double ace. Unfortunately, what happens now is the last person that I saw in the kill feed was a MiG-15, so I was guessing that the last guy was going to be in a MiG. And I didn't think I was going to get the kill, so I'm saying to everyone, let's just go sit in the cap and all get the cap points together. But then the last guy must have landed and got in a tank and somehow snuck by everyone, and he actually goes and sits in A. So I start to make a beeline for it, but I don't get there in time. The challenger takes the kill, and then we cap out before I can kill him after his respawn. So I'm just going to cut the game short there, and we'll skip straight to the results screen. So you'll be able to maximise the screen and look at the results for all you want, but what I want to point out is that mathematically it works out as around 1.8 thousand SL per kill with my earnings in this game, and that's with a premium account. That means that with the top shell, which is now being made a lot worse with the changes, well, it hasn't really, but if it takes more than 2 shots to kill a tank now, you're at a loss in earnings. How shitty is that? Anyway folks, that's the end of the video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.